That's something that we've discussed numerous times about going back after, and we just never have. Or maybe we have.
At 30 years old, Buck Jacob Lowe has finally broken his silence. And what he's revealed has left fans speechless. For nearly a decade, mountain monsters ruled the Appalachian wilderness, uncovering mysteries that blurred the line between legend and reality. But after 8 unforgettable seasons, they vanished. No warning, no goodbye, just silence. Now, for the first time ever, Buck exposes the shocking truth behind why mountain monsters will never return. A story of loyalty, loss, and the battle between truth and fame. What really happened to the Ames team? Why did the hunts stop when they were at their peak? Stay tuned, because what Buck reveals changes everything you thought you knew. It all began on a night etched into every fan's memory. March 13th, 2022. The final episode of Season 8 aired, showing the team capturing what looked like their greatest evidence of Bigfoot yet. The footage showed a massive creature moving through the Tigard Valley, and as they watched it back, the men erupted in celebration. It felt like the peak of everything they had worked for. 8 seasons of dangerous hunts, sleepless nights, and endless dedication to uncovering the unknown. But something about that final moment felt different. The excitement was there, but the spark was gone. Behind Buck's quiet smile was exhaustion. Not just physical exhaustion from the hunt, but the emotional weight of everything that had built up behind the scenes. The truth was, what viewers saw as triumph was, for Buck, the moment he realized something precious was slipping away. For years, the team had carried the weight of 8 long seasons, endless travel, punishing terrain, and the loss of one man who had been the heart of it all. That man was John Trapper Tice, the fearless leader, the father figure, the compass of the Ames team. When Trapper passed away on December 16, 2019, the team didn't just lose their captain, they lost their direction, their balance, and their spirit. He had been the one who reminded them why they did this work. He preached respect for the people they met, for the mountains they explored, and for the stories that lived in those ancient hills. Before his death, Trapper called Buck to his porch for one final conversation. It was quiet, heavy with the smell of pine and the sound of wind rustling through the Appalachian trees. Looking out over the mountains they had explored together, Trapper said words that would stay with Buck forever. Never forget why we started this. Don't let them turn it into something it's not. After John Trapper Tice's death, the heartbeat of mountain monsters began to fade. Without its moral compass, the show started to drift from what made it real. The hunts were still wild, but the soul, that honesty and Appalachian spirit, was slipping away. Then came the pressure from above. Executives demanded more explosions, louder drama, and scripted suspense. What had started as a heartfelt exploration of folklore was now being shaped into a formula for ratings. Behind the scenes, Buck Jacob Lowe and the Ames team were burning out. In that sterile room, he remembered Trapper's words. If it ever stops being about truth, walk away. And with that, Buck made his choice. He turned down everything and walked away. Before making his decision final, Buck met privately with Huckleberry, Wild Bill, Jeff, and Willy. Each one had been feeling the same unease, watching their beloved show become something they no longer recognized. They had seen other paranormal series fall into that same trap, trading authenticity for drama, truth for ratings. Together, they decided that if staying meant betraying Trapper's legacy, then leaving was the only honorable choice. The final episode of Season 8 wasn't meant to be the end. It was supposed to set up the next chapter. But when the men realized they couldn't continue under the new terms, that unplanned cliffhanger became their silent goodbye. Rumors spread quickly. Some claimed that ratings had dropped. Others said the crew had fallen out, or that the show had simply run its course. But the truth, as Buck revealed, was far more profound. Mountain Monsters didn't end because it failed. It ended because the men refused to sell out. The real monster wasn't in the woods, it was in the boardroom. In the months that followed, there was nothing but silence. No interviews, no social media posts, no updates from the Ames team. fans wondered if they'd ever see them again. For 3 long years, the mountains were quiet. And then, in June 2025, something unexpected appeared online. A new YouTube channel called Sons of Appalachia. There they were again. Buck Jacob Lowe, Huckleberry, and Wild Bill. No executives, no production crew, no scripts. Just 3 men, their cameras, and the mountains that had raised them. Sons of Appalachia wasn't a reboot. It was a rebirth. A return to everything Trapper had taught them. Now, they could take their time. They could sit with locals, hear their stories, explore legends with patience and respect, and share the truth without interference. The production was smaller, but the heart was bigger than ever. As Buck said in one interview, "We don't chase monsters for fame. We chase stories because they matter." For the first time since Trapper's passing, the men were free to tell their story their way. They could finally speak openly about their mentor, the man who taught them not only how to track creatures, but how to carry themselves with integrity. Through Sons of Appalachia, they could show what mountain monsters had always truly been about: respect, culture, and authenticity. Trapper's lessons had always gone deeper than television. He warned Buck about the temptation to manufacture drama when real mystery becomes rare. He believed that once you start faking what you can't explain, you lose not only your audience's trust, but your own sense of truth. His final advice to Buck was simple but powerful. Always remember why we started this journey, and never be afraid to stop when it stops serving that purpose. That lesson became the foundation of Buck's decision. When the choice came between money and meaning, he chose meaning. The financial loss was significant, but the moral cost of staying would have been far greater. To Buck, walking away wasn't quitting. It was protecting something sacred. As Buck opened up about the truth, fans were stunned. They expected scandal or drama, but what they found instead was integrity. A rare act of courage in an industry built on spectacle. His story wasn't about failure, it was about freedom. It wasn't about losing fame, it was about keeping faith. And so, the mountains that once echoed with the laughter and shouts of the Ames team now hum with a quieter purpose. The hunt still continues, not for monsters, but for meaning. The stories, the culture, and the spirit of the Appalachian people live on through Sons of Appalachia, carried by the men who refuse to let television rewrite their truth. Buck Jacob Lowe's decision to walk away from the spotlight proved that integrity still matters. He showed that legends don't die when the cameras stop rolling. They live on in those who honor them. The end of Mountain Monsters wasn't a tragedy. It was a transformation. It was the story of men who valued truth over fame, loyalty over luxury, and respect over ratings. The mountains still whisper their secrets, and somewhere out there, beneath those endless Appalachian skies, Buck Jacob Lowe still listens, not for applause, not for fame, but for the same voice that started it all. The voice of Trapper Tice, echoing softly through the trees. Always remember why we started. If you ever felt the thrill of a mountain monster's hunt, if you ever believed in the mysteries that live in those Appalachian woods, then you are part of this story too. Because Mountain Monsters was never just a show, it was a family, a brotherhood forged in faith, courage, and truth. So, remember their story, honor their journey, and carry their message forward. That truth will always be the greatest hunt of all. If you respect what Buck, Trapper, and the Ames team stood for, leave a like, share their story, and subscribe for more untold truths from the legends of Appalachia. Because legends don't fade when we remember them, they shine brighter forever. Thanks for watching.